Hello, thank you for joining us. Hope you're staying safe and well. I'm delighted to say that today we are joined by Charlton Athletic boss, Mr. Lee Bowyer. Hello, Lee, you okay?
Yeah, good, thanks. You?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. Brilliant. And also another man who also has Charlton Athletic in his heart. He's in our heart as well, Mr. Scott Minto. Hello, Scott.
I love you, Gary, as well. Always good to see you. Bo, you okay?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good, mate.
So we got Lee Bowyer, what looks to be in his garden, huge garden. We got Scott Minto in what looks to be his library. I'm just in a bare house, so it's all good. Now, you two boys, you were at Charlton at the same time, but Scott, you left just before Lee made his debut. But did you come up against each other in training, Lee? Did you try and nutmeg Scott? Did he try and nutmeg you? He tells me he's the nutmeg king.
Yeah. Well, Scott was obviously a good player. I was only like 17, I think, when I was coming through then. So there was a lot of experienced players playing, and Scott, you was quite young then yourself, wasn't you? You was quite a young lad when I came through. So very, very good memories. My best memory is when we went Tenerife. With Dalton. That was probably my best memory. That all the older lads, they looked after me. I was only young. I was like 18 years old, and I got dragged into this end of season trip to Tenerife, but everyone looked after me. That's probably the best memory I have of Scotty.
Did I look after you okay then, Lee?
Sorry?
Did I look after you okay?
Yeah, you looked after me. He took me under his wing and made sure I got home safely every night. So
I'm not sure that's a good thing back then, Gary, but now it would be. But yeah, no, good times actually. Really good club to start your career with. And just a good family club, and you knew that if you were good enough, you'd play, didn't you, Lee? So there was no danger of, oh no, he's only 17, he's too young. If you were good enough, you would play. So it was a great place to start. Yeah,
and it's still like that now, Scotty. Like if you think we played a 16-year-old against West Brom in the cup, like 16-year-old, and I'm the same because I got treated like that. If you're good enough, then you're old enough, and I'm very much the same. You know, we've had a lot of youngsters playing for us, 18-year-olds, obviously 16-year-olds. So if they're good enough, then they're going to play. You know, so and Charlton's a perfect place to start for me. I think that it's definitely a club that you get a chance, and then you can go on from there. And unfortunately, we are a selling club. Everyone knows that. And but yeah. It's definitely a good place to start.
Got to say, Scott Minto's taking me under his wing as well, so I know what that wing is like, Lee. To be fair.
You don't need that, Gary Weaver.
I was just going to say, Lee, it's obviously strange times at the moment. What's it been like for you professionally and personally, trying to keep in touch with the players, and what are the players up to, and what can you do at the moment?
Well, limited, very, very limited. The players, I've spoken to them all on the phone, but again, I don't want to drive them mad. That like it's tough enough for everyone staying at home, like what we have to, and then for me to then be driving a man mad every day, I think it would be the wrong thing to do. So there's like a group chat that they all speak on, and so Jacko, my assistant, he deals a lot with that. He says I'm better off to be off of that. So. But yeah, he's on that, and then he just gets information from them. Obviously, the fitness lads, the sports science, they're dealing with them day in, day out because they are working away from the training ground. So, but it's tough. It must be mind-boggling for them to be going out every day and running, just running, because there's no one to play with the ball with, is there? Unless you do keep-ups or keep up or whatever, it must be hard and difficult. So just to keep running and running, it's like a bit like Groundhog Day for them, I bet. But I've got good lads, and I trust them all, and they're all doing everything that we're asking. They're sending back what they've done, and so I'm happy with what I'm getting fed back to me.
As a manager, how difficult is it mentally to keep on top of everything when you don't know when the date is that everyone's going to go back?
Yeah, and it's difficult because you want to prepare. Like we must have prepared 2 or 3 times. We said, right, we're going back then to train, and then everything got moved by the government, and rightly so. So that's happened on 2 or 3 occasions where plans to go back to training and everything's got put on a hold. So it's difficult, but all I can do is keep watching our games back and watching the teams who we've now got to play if we come back playing again, and just trying to prepare the best I can, because now we have a full squad. So I have to try and analyse, like a bit like the start of the season when we had a full squad. Then it's like, who would suit that game better? If we do come back, then we're going to have to mix it up a little bit, I guess, because there's going to be so many games played in a short space of time. So it's just trying to prepare the best I can, like watching the other teams that we're going to be playing against. How
do you, when you do go back with the lads, how do you try and get them to hit the ground running? Because it's going to be a mini tournament now from here on in, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a 9-league season. That's what it's going to be. And whichever teams start better are the ones that are going to survive and the ones that are going to go up. And everyone's going to be trying to get a head start. And this is like a worry, like coming back to one of your questions earlier. Like, what am I thinking now? I'm thinking, how can I get a head start over others? But you can't. You can't. Physically, you can't. So it's just, you just got to rely on the group that you have, and then they do things properly at home. And then once you come back, you're going to have a mini pre-season, have to, because if you don't, then you're going to just have injuries. People are just going to get injured. So, yeah, we whatever team gets going the quickest. And hopefully in the start of the season, we done well. And so if our little mini pre-season is a bit better than some others, then yeah, we'll be fine.
Where would you say the season was at for you, and what's it been like for you this campaign?
I'd say I've learned a lot. I got some advice from Tony Mowbray at the start of the season. I tried to loan one of his players, and he said, "Lee, like, I can't afford to let him go." He said, "Because I need all my players." And I said, "Oh, okay." He said to me, I asked him for what's the best advice you could give me, like one piece of advice. He said, "Have as many players in this squad as you possibly can." He said, because it's a long, tough season. But we could never plan for having as many injuries for as long as what we did. And that's where I've learned. Like, that we were still in every game that we played. I think, Scotty, we was on the telly. We played Cardiff with a load of injuries out when he was at the Valley. And we've been in there enough every game, you know. So even with all the injuries we had, I've learnt so much in such a short space of time this season. So yeah, it's been highs and lows, but that's always in football, and especially at Charlton, there's definitely a lot of highs and lows all the time.
So what is it, the one or two things that you would say? You say you've learned a lot, and it's difficult maybe to say all those things, but you say, ask Tony Mowbray, what's the one piece of advice you give? What's the one or two things perhaps that you've learned this season?
How to juggle, I think, because at the start of the season, with the budget that we got given, it was so tough to be able to bring in the players that we did. And we was fortunate, a couple of clubs helped us out, West Brom being one of them. They gave us 2 of their players, and okay, they wasn't ready for their squad, but they came in and done well for us. But they've both been injured for a long time now. Like Lecco, he's gone back with his knee. He had to have an operation, and Sam Field has been out for most of the season with his knee. So we was unlucky there. And I think the staff around me, you realise that you need them more than anyone, you know, like physios. And again, we've been fortunate enough to bring in another physio. We just didn't have enough staff to help you through times. We had 2 physios at the start of the season, and then we ended up having to bring in another one because we just couldn't get the players fit. And when we did, they was breaking down. So there would be probably the 2 most valuable things that I've learned: the staff around you, and trying to get as many players in, and with the budget that we had, that was the 2 things, to duck and dive. And I've learned. So I was saying to you before, Scotty, I think that I've learned more in this 2 years as a manager that I would say a lot of managers haven't had to deal with in 10 years, you know. So it's been good though, because it makes it tough, and then you have to adjust and you have to try and make things work when you don't really have the tools. And but like I said, the staff around me, they've been great.
And we're talking about key players here, Lee, aren't we? We're talking about Josh Cullen, Johnny Williams, Lyle Taylor, who've been missing. And then if you look at the team that you got promoted with, you had Christian Bielik, Patrick Bowyer, Joe Aribo, who all left as well. So these were big holes to fill, weren't they?
Yeah, we built a good side last season. Again, with probably one of the smaller budgets in that division, and then this season, losing them players, it was going to be difficult to replace them. And don't forget, we lost Carlin in January last season as well. So to replace them, we had to try and bring someone in to play up front with Lyle. And we went with Lecco from West Brom. And he was similar to Carlin, you know, like a winger, but then we moved him inside, and he brought a lot to us. Brought Macaulay Bonne in the summer. He wasn't quite ready, obviously coming from non-league, then jump into the Championship is a massive jump, and he recognised that in himself. So, but then when we got all the injuries, it became difficult because, like you said, Johnny Williams, like you more experienced players, Josh Cullen, massive for us. And to Lyle, we lost him for 14 weeks like that. That's a long time to lose your main striker, you know. But we adapted, and we just kept trying to dig out results, and we went through a tough period, you know. As you're sliding down the league, I couldn't have asked no more from them on the pitch. So then you just realise that, look, we're just not as good as the teams we're playing against. We need a bit of luck here. And then the closer we got to January, it was a case of like, look, we need some help. Obviously, we had the new people coming in. And when I had a meeting with them, they said, yeah, you're going to get help. But we're here now. It's not going to be difficult like it was before. And we didn't get that help.
Obviously, you know, everyone was excited at the club when the new owners came in. At the moment, the EFL are still waiting for proof of funds of how the club's going to go forward, which means the club's in a transfer embargo at the moment, which doesn't really affect you, I suppose, at the moment, because you can't sign anyone. But how difficult is it, or how easy is it for you to kind of switch off from all that and just try and concentrate on the football?
It's difficult because when you're playing games and you recognise that if you would have got that bit of help in January, so like now, so say like in February, when the window had passed, and then you play a game and then you might lose by a goal or you draw, and then you think, if we did get that bit of help, we would have won that game, do you know? So then it's easy to forget, but it still frustrates you because you're like, just that's all we wanted was a little bit of help, you know, like and once we went into the embargo, no one knew, apart from a handful of people at the club, and we had to keep it between ourselves. And then I could understand that our fans, they was getting frustrated because they was like, well, why aren't we bringing no players in? And myself and Steve Gallen, they were saying, like, they don't even know how to spend the money. They've never had money. So, like, we was getting the blame, but we knew that we weren't allowed to bring any players in. So it was like, hold on, we can't say what's really going on. We knew he was under the embargo. And to be fair, we'd lost 3 players in January. They got recalled and called back, the loan players. And we had to replace them. And at one stage, they wasn't even going to let us replace the players that we'd lost. So then we was like, hold on, that money was previously, you know, that was somebody else's money. That was Roland's money. Surely we can use that. And even that got cut from the money that we'd spent previously on the players. But no one knew what was going on, really. And we was half getting the blame because results weren't really going our way. And but we couldn't say, oh, half getting the blame because results weren't really going our way, and but we couldn't say, oh look, this is the truth. This is what's really going on, so that was tough. It's like, hold on, how much do you want us to take? Someone should step forward here and say, look, this is a situation. But no one did.
Lee, one player who obviously is still there is Lyle Taylor. Not just important because of his goals, but important to the way you play and the way you build your play as well. How important was it you kept hold of him and you try and keep him at the club? Difficult, I know, but how important is that?
Yeah, to try and keep him at the club, I think is going to be tough. He's so big for us, and I was thankful to the owners that they didn't sell him in January, because they could have sold him in January, and they didn't. So, are we going to be able to replace him next season if he goes? I don't think we will. Not with the budget that we have. Lyle for me is up there. Definitely top 5 strikers in this division for sure. We've played against all the teams, and we ain't going to be able to replace him with what we pay. No chance.
Well, we obviously haven't cheered you up there, Lee, so we'll move on to other things now. just in terms of, it's well documented that you weren't going to go into management. You didn't think it was for you. Then Harry Kuehl brought you into the Watford under-21 setup. You were helping the midfielders and the strikers, and a striker that wasn't scoring goals suddenly started to score goals when you went in there. What's it like when you take a session and you see that players are improving under you? What's that feeling like for you, and is that what gave you the motivation to carry on? Yeah,
that's what pushed me to stay in it. Once I went with Harry and I enjoyed it and see people improving. And again, like at Charlton, I've been in charge like 2 years now, and every single player, whenever I leave, I know that every single player has improved under myself and Jacka, 100%. We got Darren Pratt, he's 34, and I had a conversation with him not so long ago, a couple of months ago, just before this break, and I said to him, like, Pratt, you've improved so much, and he said, yeah, I know, and that's a 34-year-old man, you know, like he's been played in the Premier League, he's played in the Championship most of his career, and he's even improving, you know. So it doesn't matter what age. And when I look back and I come home and I watch games back and I think, oh, look at him now. Josh Cullen has been on loan with us for 2 years now. West Ham, when they get him back in the summer, he's going to be ready. He's going to be ready for them, I believe. So there's all of them. Every single player that's come through the door has gone away a better player. My job is to improve players, and that's my reward. Winning is a reward, but when I was a player, like, your game was reward, you know, like going to play, that's my reward, going on the match day, on a Saturday. Now my reward is to see players move on and leave better than when I first came in. Joe Reba, like, he look at him now, he's playing for Rangers, playing for his country, and he was like a bit part player, Scotty, wasn't he? When I first came into the club, and now in Carlin Grant, like, you know, like, he went and played in the Premiership, scored against my team. West Ham 2 goals at the Olympic Stadium. So it's rewarding, and it makes me smile. Like when I watch Carlin on Match of the Day playing in the Premier League. Okay, we lost him. I was disappointed with that and gutted, but like I said, that's my job, is to pass on what I was fortunate enough to learn.
Lee, we know you as a player, very combative, attacking, goal scoring, love to tackle. How would you describe yourself as a manager, and what bits have you taken from the managers throughout your career?
I've took bits from all of them. I think I'm firm but fair, and I demand the most I possibly can. I draw everything out. I think I have to keep pushing them, and I never let them take their foot off the pedal, because that's I think the one thing that you have to give as a player is 100%. And if you're not prepared to do that for your mate that's sitting next to you, then you shouldn't be playing the game. And that's why our recruitment has been so good, because we bring in the right people that want to work hard, and not just for themselves, but for the team. The team always comes first.
Lee, I was going to say, you mentioned the team ethic there. Is it right that George Graham had a massive part to play in that with you at Leeds United? You were scoring goals, you were creating goals, but he was dropping you because you weren't tracking back. And is that when this team ethic was kind of instilled in you, if you like?
Yeah, because like Scotty, I tell you, when I was there, I used to love getting forward and scoring goals, but I had Keith Jones, like he used to sit there and protect the back four. And so I thought, well, I don't really need to get back as quick as I can, because I've got Keith Jones there to do that dirty side of the game. So obviously then I went on to Leeds, and George Graham said, like, look, you ain't playing. And I was thinking, what? I'm scoring, I'm assisting, I'm playing well. And he was like, yeah, but you're not doing the other side of the game. And I'm thinking, yeah, but I'm doing this side of the game. And then because of that, then it was a tough lesson for me. Like, I didn't play for weeks, maybe months. It was like I think it was about 8 weeks I didn't play for. Like, I didn't start. I'd come off the bench and score like a winner. I remember against Derby at home, we was losing by like 2-0 half time or something, and then he brought me on half time, and then I scored the winner like right late on. I was thinking, I've got to start the next game, got to. And then he didn't. He was like, no, you're not playing. Like, until you do this side of the game and I'm satisfied with it, you're not going to start again.
Did you take something, or try to take something from Terry Venables as well, the way he was calm straight after a game? Yeah,
I tried that. Didn't really work.
Tell us what he did. Tell us what you tried to do, and tell us why you couldn't do it.
To Terry Venables, like, after a game, he would never, so we played bad and we lost. He would never, like, dig anyone out. He would never go mad, like, and put his point across. He would just say, okay, right, let's just get ready and let's go, whether home or away. And then we'd have a meeting on Monday. And I'm thinking, I don't know, even if it was me, like, tell me what I've done wrong. Like, I know I've done wrong, tell me. But he never did. He'd wait till Monday. And one time I asked him, I said, why do you never, like, go mad and, like, tell everyone what they've done wrong? And he said, what's the point? He said, like, I'm not going to achieve anything then, because everyone's emotions are high, their adrenaline's pumping. So it just become like a shouting match. So on a Monday, when everyone's had time to think about it and calm down, then I can point it out, and then it's more constructive. And I was thinking, fair play. Like, it did work. The meetings did work on a Monday. But yeah, so sometimes I do that. I'll just wait till the Monday, but sometimes I can't wait till the Monday.
So what are you like in the dressing room after a game then, if you do go in there?
Again, firm but fair. I'm firm but fair, and then if they've done well and they've given me everything, then whether win, lose or draw, I say, like, look, I can't ask for no more from you, and I pat them all on the back and I walk around and shake everyone's hand. And if they haven't done so well, then I will tell them whatever I think is they've let us down. But I'll still walk around and shake everyone's hand. Nothing changes there, because they're men, they're human beings, and they make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. I've made mistakes. So the biggest thing is that, can you then put that behind you and go again, and make sure you don't make that mistake again. So that's the way I am with them. And after every game, I'm firm but fair.
You have this ability to be calm and switch off as well. Obviously, 100% focus on the job, but that ability to switch off and be calm as well. How important is that to you as a manager?
Yeah, I think you have to have that. You have to be able to just take a step back and analyse what's going on, and a bit like Terry Venables, take a step back and be calm. And because sometimes some people, all the players are different. They've all got different personalities, and some need an arm round them, like Lowell Taylor. You put your arm around him, and then he gives you everything. Jason Pearce, he's the same, but sometimes he will need you to tell him what he's done wrong, and in a verbally way, But if you do that with Lowell, then I think it would be difficult. Mark Viduka was the same, exactly the same as Lyle Taylor. Just needs a cuddle, needs you to tell him that he's the best player in the world, and then he will play like he's the best player in the world. So they remind me so much of each other.
Lee, fascinating to talk to you. Thank you very much for joining us and giving us your time today. And hopefully we'll all be catching up face to face pretty soon.
Hopefully. Thank you very much, man. Thanks very much. Take care.
Sky Sports Football. Feel it all.